What are your real thoughts on forward facing sonar? Obviously, like for me, I have a few things that I've thought about, but like realistically, let's open up this can of worms. Let's open up Pandora's box. And just see.
I'll go first on this.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I think it's bad personally, I think it's bad for like the excitement around the sport. Mm-hmm. I think it kind of mutes down the raw emotion, and it mutes down your, just kind of the surprising nature of getting a bite. Because like for the past 2 months, I've known every bass is going to bite it before he gets 10 feet from it. Because you can tell on their mannerisms and stuff. And I mean, that's still exciting, but it's not the same as skipping under a dock and your line swimming out. It's just not. That's just the way that I feel. I know watching it from a spectator, it's a lot more boring as far as that goes, but it's already out now. It ain't going back.
You can't go back.
It's just going to change the way fishing is forever. And I mean, it doesn't mean the fish are going to automatically, get caught, but it is. I feel like it changes a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely. Hunter.
Yeah, I just feel like, I started fishing in 2011 and spent a lot of time on Lake Erie, 2012, 2013, just learning how to fish. And that was a big deal just to have the 2D sonar and seeing smallmouth on the 2D. And like at the time, people knew about it, but not like everybody and their brother. See one on your graph and you could drop to it and catch it, and have your back transducer on too. Like that was a deal, like to get an extra bite off the back of the boat. All it is now it's facing forward. What's the difference between it shooting straight down? Now, granted, you can see forward. It's just now we're actually seeing what we've been thinking was happening all these years.
Right.
As far as fish behavior. We would think, well, they would do this or they're doing that or they're not there anymore. No, they're there. They just ain't biting.
Yep.
And we're catching fish. We're learning how to get those fish to bite. But then we're also learning that those fish ain't going to always bite. And not the average person, not every day average Joe Blow is going to go out there and take forward-facing sonar and just, set the world on fire. And everybody thinks that's what happens. And what we've taken, I say you guys, taking forward-facing sonar and being able to go use it at these bodies of water and just catch massive amounts of fish. But the next guy could pull up to the same stuff and not catch those fish. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't change anything. So I get what you're saying though. It does take some of the excitement. Like when we go to a smallmouth or a spotted bass tournament, and that's all it is, that does get boring.
It does, yeah. Even like with us catching them,
it gets boring for us. Yeah. Like bro, like we stood there and stared. St. Lawrence River. What do? You sit there and stare. Like any smallmouth place, any. And now guys will still take it largemouth fishing, given the situation, and do it as well. But I feel like there's other opportunities. But everything's going to evolve. Those fish are going to get smarter. They've already adapted to the pressure. Just the same as if you go and fish the same stretch every single day, or the place that always gets a bunch of pressure, the shallow fish. It's the same thing that happens to offshore fish with forward-facing sonar. Those fish get pressured, they learn, and I think what's going to happen in the future is those fish are going to start getting, they're going to start feeling pressure at 60, 70, 80 feet away, to where you're going to have to make the cast almost as far as you can cast, because they're going to know, they're going to feel that presence.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big deal. I mean, I go back and forth on this because I try to take like any personal agenda out of it. Obviously, I've benefited from it, and I think that I've learned more in the last 3 years about bass behavior than I've known my entire life.
100%. But you've taken the game, and you've progressed with the technology we have. You've progressed it. You went, we got this, boom, and you put the throttle down, and now everybody's trying to catch up to what you know. To how to look for them, to catch them, to everything, right?
Yeah, and there's advantages.
This moment in time. Now, 5 years from now, like you said, there's going to be people that's going to progress to that level. Everybody's going to get used to the technology.
Absolutely.
But what you're saying, how much you've learned, but how much you've beat everybody else to the game.
Yeah, I mean, there was, it's so interesting. Like, I think it was, was that 2020? Maybe I used 2020 or 2019? I think it was 2020. It's 2020. So the year 2020, I decided to go sponsor list on the electronic side of things. And I ran all three, Humminbird, Lowrance, and Garmin. I ran Garmin for live scope, and Lowrance just because I knew the system and I understood what was going on. I felt like they had a great unit, and waypoint management is unbelievable. And then Humminbird for 360 and then side scan as well. And so you learn a lot when there's one thing of like, I had actually a year before, I actually had an aluminum boat that I rigged up in 19 to see if it would actually work and how it would work. And it was really cool. And I was using it all in 19, and I realized there was some benefit to it. And so that, like, now the thing is, to be honest with you, in 20, it was pretty easy. I ain't gonna lie. And you see one over there, you cast over there, you see a dot over there, you cast over there. I'm not gonna say 100% of the time, but a lot of them suckers went over there and swam over there and ate it. 98%. It was the most insane time. It was pretty crazy. Now, not in every scenario, and not in every tournament. Like, obviously, you spawn tournaments, there's shallow water tournaments, there's post-spawn events. But if I knew what I knew now back then, holy moly, would you reel some in? But it's sort of like that with an Alabama rig too.
Exactly.
And you're seeing that. Okay, Alabama rig is the closest thing that I can think of, like, that's come along. Now that was a lure, and this is like electronics and technology.
But they have one extreme thing in common. They both catch suspended bass.
They do.
Which has been extremely difficult from before the Alabama rig was out to the beginning of bass fishing. 100%. Suspended bass have been the ones you just don't catch.
You cannot target those fish
without those two. So that's
100%.
That's what makes those two things so important.
I 100% agree with you on that.
So now forward facing sonar, just like, now we can just get to actually catch those fish now.
Like,
so that works out.
Almost only target suspended bass now.
Well, I think what's so cool about it, though, it does is like the Tennessee River, for instance. Okay, it's as far as offshore locations where the bass group up at, they group up a lot of the same places every single year. Now, there's places they don't group up every single year, and they'll group up, and then those are the sneaky places that they'll get 1 out of 10 years. But for the most part, everything's found. The cool thing about suspended bass is they might be over here one day. They might be a half mile away the next. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is so unique, and it keeps you guessing. You know what I'm saying? You continue to have to figure out. You're not going to a brush pile. Not always. Not sometimes you are. You're not going to, I'm going to go fish this contour necessarily. They can just leave.
Right.
And you have to figure that out. So it's so interesting. So you might have a creek arm, for instance. There might be 100 fish school in that creek arm, and it's a mile long. And the first day you catch them in the front of it. Second day the bait moves to the back. You catch them in the back of it. Third day you catch them in the middle. And there might be 20 people that have that same exact school. But you adjusted better every single day than the rest of those anglers. Difference is on Tennessee River is you got the dot, 20 other anglers at the dot. They roll up, they shot the trolling motor, they hit spot lock, they cast out there, and a lot of them won't ever leave.
Right. So you can't.
They make no adjustment.
Yep.
There's no value. Listen, it's just boat draw.
Right.
Where's the skill in that? If you're a boat number one and you get to go to a hammerhole school and 50 other people have, and you drop 20 pounds on that school,
never fishing one of those tournaments ever again.
It does stink. It does
never
stink. Those do stink.
Hey,
I'm not gonna lie.
Unless you're boat one.
Write it
Unless
down.
you're boat one. It is.
Nope,
but
I'm
the
out.
next day you're like, you better have a sneaky hole.
I'm out.
You better have a sneak hole.
You better make a deal with somebody towards the end of the day.
100. Hey, man, you come on in.
in.
Man,
Y'all
they don't
can
do
have
it.
What's your boat number tomorrow?
Y'all can have it. I'm out.
So in my
Mine going
mind,
over there on the bank. They're all out here offshore. Nah, there's 3% on the bank. Just let me get my 5. Just let me get my 5.
so I think there's so many things. Like, this is like an hour-long conversation, but like
It's all decision making though.
It
like,
is.
Like the person who goes and spot locks down on the waypoint. He's going to catch them, but he's not going to catch them every single time. He's going to have some great days. And he's going to have some days where he weighs in 1 bass or no bass. The person who's the best has all the waypoints, has all the stuff, and then understands why to pull up to one. If the wind's blowing a certain way, if the current's doing this, if the current's stronger, if the water got muddy, if the current's been slack for an entire week, they move. All this type of stuff factors into the decision making, and that's what makes somebody be consistently good. So just having the stuff and pulling up on it, that's not going to make you consistently catch them all the time.
Right.
Same thing with Forward Facing Sonar. The person who makes the best decisions, like finding them, all that stuff that's the key.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's tougher for the conventional angler to be more consistent with the Forward Facing Sonar because 100%. It's always changing.
Yep.
Than it is to find a school of bass on down scan and go turn around on a hard spot and catch them every cast.
Definitely.
Or know
it's way harder.
When to turn away and say no to these fish that are still there.
Yes.
And you caught them here. They're there. I caught them yesterday in pre-practice, but I'm going to catch them today. And they ain't biting.
Yeah.
Well, and you're going to sit there and try all this stuff for an hour and a half.
Yeah. And yesterday that Jacob Wheeler told you they're going to bite 80% of the time. Yeah. So you want to sit on them,
Yeah, I did.
But then they just don't bite.
And then 3 hours is up.
And that's where we're at in the space right now. I mean, that's where we're at in the space right now. Like literally, I think the biggest misnomer, and so many people out there comment on a video and they say, "Look, man, this ain't bass fishing. Y'all are casting at dots. You know, anybody can do that, man." It's like, and I'll be honest with you.
Hey, they are right. Anybody can cast at them.
You're right.
But listen,
close to it.
Listen, we were both on the same.
Hey,
we were both on the same lake as him today, and we casted at a lot of dots too. And he had 18 pounds, and we had like 10 pounds. So y'all can keep saying that anybody can do it. Here's the deal. Is you got to find them. That's the whole thing. It's been that way.
And then you got to trigger them.
It's been that way since tournament bass fishing started. Regardless of the technology, you can have whatever flying UFOs over your shoulder. If you can't find them, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Imagine when like side scan came out, and all them dudes that had like brush piles and dropped them for years.
Yeah,
they were so mad.
They were lining up on a power pole in a red roof of the house.
Dude, they were so mad. They've been dropping. Hey, like all them boys down at Eufaula, they had all them dang brush piles. They said, you gotta be kidding me right now. They had a GPS and 2D. Good luck trying to find my brush pile. Now all of a sudden you can see 100 feet.
Yeah.
They had listen. This is the thing in bass fishing. There's gonna be things that transition. So think about it back in the day with like David Fritz and flashers. Like he understood that so much better than everybody else. Mm-hmm. He understood that those bass were on a hard spot and he could crank his crankbait around and find groups of fish in 8 to 14 foot of water better than anyone else.
Right.
And he trashed them on it. And
but he found them.
He found them by fishing, okay? But he found them by like understanding the contours. Mm-hmm. Then it transitioned 2D, GPS, topo, map has got better. You got down scan, side scan. Look at Kevin. Kevin's was ahead of the curve. Look at Alton winning Classic was ahead of the curve and understood how to graph through the ditches and find like a broke off tree or something back in Hartwell. And like it goes on and on and on and on. There's anglers that have taken advantage of technology, but it just hasn't been so in your face as it is today.
Mm-hmm. So is that because of social media? Blasting it in front of everybody all day, every day to give people something to complain about?
Because it's literally social media has blown up, the past 5, 7, 10 years?
After side imaging.
10 years?
Yeah. So, also look at live. Look, Kevin back in the day, he could go and all them guys, they graph around, find groups of fish, whatever, and that's a 45-minute show.
And all they show is the catches.
Exactly.
Yeah. They don't show you just...
You don't know how you found them, what went down, moved.
You've seen 3 or 4 of his catches throughout the day.
He just fired them up, and you're like, dang, he freaking trashed them on a crankbait. I got to buy one of them dang crankbaits.
He went 6 hours without a bite or
4
something.
of every color of them crankbaits.
Yeah. But that's how it was, Yeah. And so now you're able to see that live aspect. There's more information out there in this industry, more information out there, than ever before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's so interesting. So I think that comes into the deal is like I feel like also, and there's a lot of people out there that number one like don't have active target, don't have live scope, or don't have Forward Facing Sonar, And there's other people that cannot afford it, and I understand that. Like, listen, like if I didn't make it professionally fishing, I'm sure I'd be working a 9 to 5, and I probably wouldn't be able to afford it either. You know, and I would have to figure it out. But don't take it as an excuse to not work hard. There's a lot of opportunity out there. Look at John Cox. Look at a lot of anglers
so many guys can make it
that can just catch them
Yeah.
that don't have electronics, and they can fish their game.
There's only a handful of lakes really in the country that you have to have it to really win.
And I would say like St. Clair,
All the Great Lakes, you better have it.
Great Lakes, you have to have.
like category.
Herring Lakes, you gotta have
Smallmouth, spotted bass.
Herring Lakes, yep.
it. You need to have it.
Yep.
Most of the year.
Yep,
You
I
know?
would agree.
And then all the Great Lakes and all the big smallmouth, the really, really clear ones. Up there, you're not going to consistently compete for a win without it.
Highland reservoirs.
Yeah.
Highland reservoirs and natural lakes with smallmouth.
Yeah.
Smallmouth. And it's really the if you're in a muddy water river, yes, can you catch one on a Cypress Street? Seeing a couple of them up there, absolutely. But can you flip 100 more Cypress Streets in a day and catch a couple more? Possibility. So and that's the thing is like we're figuring out right now, like, wow, I'm wasting my time by staring down there at that unit.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest thing I feel like in the professional level that is starting to transition is anglers are getting better at managing, paying attention to active target or forward facing sonar.
100%.
That is the biggest separation where you see, okay, if you look at like, okay, let's bring up, even Kyle Hall won up at Champlain. He won at Gunnersville this year in the Toyota Series, forward facing sonar fisherman. But look at where he finished in the points in that pro circuit. He didn't have a great points year. Was he dependent on it the whole time? He had a couple great tournaments. Absolutely. And when the things align and the stars align, he smashed them. But, it's like, yes, he made a lot of money, but like, is that like, sooner or later, he will have to figure out.
That is situational.
I got to turn this off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't turn it off if I won however much money.
He
I
didn't
won this
win a
year.
lot of money.
I
Yeah,
keep staring down at the damn graph.
I might have 6 of them next year.
And that's the thing is like, I think this is the other thing is like, people see 5 or 6 graphs on my boat. Dude, I could do the majority. I fish out of these cup boats, okay, with MLF. And they have HDS 9s. I can do 90% of what I do on the water with an HDS 9 in the back and an HDS 9 in front.
Yeah.
90% of it.
Yeah.
You see all these graphs. Listen, I'm just being straight up with you guys.
You could, for sure.
Because I don't want it to be. This is my biggest issue with forward facing sonar is I think we're getting to the point where we're just getting further away, and it's making it's harder for a younger angler to look at it and say I can do that and achieve it. Like I look back at myself growing up and not having everything and trying to like, hey, just like if I got GPS, I was like, holy smokes, I bought a $400 black and white unit off of dang eBay with my dad, and like I can't imagine having to think about, I gotta have forward facing sonar, I gotta have this, I got that. Like all I was worried about was getting the new next tackle, like a 10-hour crankbait,
Right.
So I think that it's weird, especially with social media as well. Like I feel like it's tough. I feel like it's a big separation, and I do think you brought up a good point as well with like just like staring down. But I also think what eventually we're gonna have to give up the goods.
You got to. It needs to happen now, really.
And there needs to be a live view on what you're looking at.
It needs to happen now.
Do you think that? Okay, what I'm saying is, if you had a live view on what was, the problem is like some of the units can't take a card and record it and also like show it and like everything else. But if you had a view of what the angler was looking at as a viewer, I'm asking you guys right now, do you think that would make so like imagine like people watch a ton of people watch a lot of professional gamers on YouTube playing video games, making the same decisions. Would that help bridge the gap, you feel like?
It has to. It absolutely has to. I mean, it's just, at least you would get to see some of the things that the anglers see and that excites them. It is fun to watch a fish swim up off to wherever he's at and come eat your bait. Like,
It's also so frustrating when they don't.
yeah.
That happens 99% of the time.
This is a good question. What percentage of bass do you think you throw at, both of y'all, that bite? Bass, not dots. How many bass you think you throw at? What percentage of them bite?
I'm gonna tell you this right here.
All over the
Depends on-
country. I'm
all
not
over
talking
the
about.
country?
I'm not talking
If you
about
go northern
prime conditions.
bodies of water, I'm gonna say 50%.
50.
Yes.
Dang.
God, what's it like?
And then
Oh my God. 50.
okay, now listen. Okay, it might be skewed because I was up there when it was like non-pressured. Okay, but I would say 50% of the bass bite your bait that you throw at. Now, listen, okay, in the down south, I'm gonna say like 2%.
2%.
Damn. That's why I ain't
1%.
using it down south.
1%.
1%.
2%, 1%. I mean, you throw at 300 bass in a day down here, and you might catch.
3.
No, let's say you catch 15.
Golly.
10.
10 out of 300.
Getting
10 out of 300
more
is
well
probably
up.
what it is.
So that's about 3.3%.
Yeah, it's around 3%. That's
So-
3% about right.
But the thing about-
that's also with you being so dialed in to make the correct cast and not to like spook them with the right presentation, with the right weight, with the right bait, with the right lure, all the right line, all of the things that have to go in. Also, finding them on side scanning, down scanning, and being able to be efficiently through that, all of that.
Yep.
And still,
And then
So
also, though.
I'm at 1%.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe at 0.78%. He's at 3. I'm at 0.75.
you also have to find the ones that will bite, though. Like, you can
You do.
get in an area of the lake where every bass you throw at, they're just not going to bite. And you go to another area, and it's like the first 6 you throw at bite.
I 100% agree with you as well.
So you think it's less than 1%?
Yeah, I want to hear you guys.
With what he was saying about
I
being
said
in the South.
50% up north.
Yeah.
And it probably
50% up north ain't no way.
Okay, the problem is I have to take 2020 out of the equation because it was pretty much like
This
70.
year. This year.
So this year I gotta look at it like
2020 out of the equation.
I do. It's
Can you
sort of
imagine?
tough because I mean it
Can you
was
imagine?
pretty nuts.
Every single one.
I'm gonna say
Would bite.
like I'm gonna say up north it is 25% though, or like 20%.
You think it's 25%?
I do think it's higher, like 20%. I think
would
you
say if
cast.
we threw at, how many fish do you think we threw out in a tournament? 200?
You
300?
probably throw it 200, 250 a day.
A lot.
Yeah.
And you might catch 15.
12.
So you still think it's
So
about
what
the
do you
same?
think that is?
I think
Less than 5%.
I think up there it's probably 6-8%.
Okay, that's probably right.
That's what I think.
I'm very skewed because my first
Yeah,
year.
ain't no way that's 20.
I'm
Every
sorry.
4 bass that you throw at, you catch. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get
Dang.
that 4, but okay, this is the thing. When you make the correct cast with the correct presentation.
No, I get that. But
So, like,
I'm
if
saying
you
it's
throw it
overall,
right-
like throwing at them, regardless, even if you miss them a little bit, like they don't bite.
I think I could get my percentage up
To 10%.
Probably up to 15 or 20.
Yeah.
If you only threw at bass you knew were going to bite.
Absolutely.
Because you know when you see
Yeah.
one that's going to bite.
I do agree with that.
But I still throw at the ones that ain't going to bite.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
Because
he might.
Because what's the percentage of those? You always get one of those a day. That you
yeah, when
get.
you see like 7 of them, running around.
In a line, perfectly
Yep.
straight in a line, like halfway
You're right.
down. Yeah.
Hey,
one of them
you
bite.
better real them in.
But those ones, it's like, no, I already seen this all day long. He isn't going to bite, and you drop over
Yeah,
there. And
it's
you go,
all about
You know?
how you sort of it's
Yeah.
I'm looking at fresh ones.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you.
Oh, the
well, no
fresh
kidding.
ones?
The fresh
Yeah,
ones
The
are
fresh
dang near
ones,
like
boy,
80%.
They're like they don't ask no questions. They go whoop.
Yeah. You see three on top of a rock somewhere, you catch one.
Hey, but I mean, what's crazy is like there's times it's like now Mille Lacs, no, that ain't how it works. I would say, but you know what's crazy about some of these fisheries though too, is you couldn't literally because we're so used to seeing fish suspend now, there's so many bass that you do not see out in 20, 30 foot of water that
Right.
are sucked down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
insane. I would say, what's the percentage of bass do you feel like when you're fishing? And I'm gonna say like rocky areas, Great Lakes, whatever.
Can't see them.
Do you feel like you see, and what's the percentage you don't see? Like how much the percentage that you don't see in an area? You feel like
I think you don't see. This is my opinion. I think you only see the ones that are really kind of feeding.
active.
Yeah, active. So, I mean, it's probably 10 or 15%, less than 20%, 15%.
How was it at Oahe? That was a prime example.
Yeah,
of
you'd
it.
see one, and then there'd be like 50 swim to the boat behind one out of all these rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. Mille Lacs same way.
It is
exactly the same way.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like the scenario is like so. Like I'm just trying to paint this picture for the viewer out there that does not have this technology and has not been able to. They see it on TV,
Right.
And they just see this cut. Oh, Hunter's got another one. Oh, Kyle's got another one. Oh, MDJ's got one. You know, like you see that, and when you see that, it's hard to relate.
Yeah, for sure.
But yet, this is the real stuff that like, this is how it is.
So what's one biggest takeaway after using Forward Facing Sonar for 2 or 3 years? The number one thing that sticks out to you after using it?
For me, I'm going to tell you what I really.
I got a good one.
To me, I'm going to say that we thought they did certain things.
Like stay put?
Yes, and they do not.
Heck no, they don't.
And it's the most Listen, all of the stuff that you read in the magazines you bought in the last 20 years, throw it away.
Yeah.
Throw it away.
It's time to start a fire, so you can use it like that.
100%.
Yep.
That is the number one thing. I mean, I want to hear. I want to hear. My Hunter. What's your one takeaway?
Well, I mean, that's probably that's a good. I'm stealing Kyle's or reiterate on Kyle's that they do swim a lot, everywhere. They have a tail for a reason.
Dude, it's unbelievable.
And so when they're swimming around, and not only that, but like you think you're catching the same fish, or what you think you think you're. Oh, I might have caught them all, down a stretch. Ain't no way. You can't catch them all. No. If you're around a bass or a couple bass, you're around a bunch of bass.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of being there at a window and the time of the day, and you really get to see those windows that you think, oh man, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to be able to do this all day. And just as soon as you think that window changes, their attitude changes, and you see it, and you're like, what happened? It's done.
Right.
Goes into another lull, just like you see on all the events. Guys catch them. Guys caught them up the river at the same time that the guys caught them down at the dam.
Yeah.
Right.
Bing, bing, bing. But you also get to see it now, for yourself on live Forward Facing
I must be
Sonar.
driving from spot to spot when the windows are happening or something.
100%.
That's what it feels like.
100%.
So what was your I want to hear.
So mine is 40 foot is a lot closer than you think, and 100 is a lot further than you think. For real. Like 100 foot's hard to catch.
100 foot is hard to hit.
But 40 is right there.
Yes.
Yeah, like
40 is
that's super surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, like your ranges.
Yeah.
You had no clue.
Yeah.
You had no clue.
You're like, I overshot it.
And then you see one at 100 and you like, it lands at 90.
And you're like, dang, I freaking launched
It
that
makes
thing.
me wonder about the distances they have, though.
I've thought that also. Seems like
think-
it may not be exact on the screen.
You
Because
don't
I mean,
think so that's what we need to do next time.
I'm
we got to
heaving that
measure.
yeah.
That's a video right there. We'll see.
Literally be on
how
a-
good it is.
Post up, power poles down, stuck.
Yeah.
And then take the tape measure.
And you're
Or
like,
you could just get out in front of a dock, and do it to the dock.
Sure.
Range find a dock or something. You got to
nah, you need to like have a floating ruler that's on the water, and then you like literally have some in position, and you're like, all right,
Let's make
that's
this as
yeah.
difficult
That
as we
is-
can possibly make it.
dang straight. Throw a rock out there. It's
We'll
like, yeah, I
hire
hit
a
it.
helicopter with a throw net. I don't know what the throw net's for.
I'm not really sure what we're gonna do with
It
that.
just sounds cool.
Oh my gosh! Well, that was a good conversation.
Another big one with the Forward Facing Sonar is you didn't realize how much you actually move your bait. Like
That is
like
a very good one, actually.
before, like you would feel like you move your rod like this, you just barely moving the bait, let that line out. No, that thing is hopping like this far off the bottom.
Hey, there ain't no crawdad doing that in the world.
No.
He's all jacked
Your
up
little
on Mountain
pop
Dew.
up is like, whoa.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, you get the shaking, boy. That thing's not even touching the bottom. It's going
It's
like
up
this
there like-
and then falling.
Especially in 40 foot, like
Yeah.
30 foot, 40 foot.
Oh,
it's
you like
Yeah.
unbelievable.
you got to shake the slack out. You can't even have a tight line.
Okay.